I'm Olivia Troye. I was Homeland Security and Counterterrorism Advisor to Vice President Pence and served as Vice President Pence's lead staff member on the COVID-19 response. I'd been on the COVID task force from day one. The virus was very unpredictable at the beginning. There were a lot of unknowns, but towards the middle of February, we knew it wasn't a matter of if COVID would become a big pandemic here in the United States, it was a matter of when. But the president didn't want to hear that because his biggest concern was that we were in an election year and how is this going to affect what he considered to be his record of success. It was shocking to see the president saying that the virus was a hoax, saying that everything's okay when we know that it's not. The truth is, he doesn't actually care about anyone else but himself. He made a statement once that was very striking. I never forgot it because it pretty much defined who he was. When we were in a task force meeting, the president said, maybe this COVID thing is a good thing. I don't like shaking hands with people. I don't have to shake hands with these disgusting people. Those disgusting people are the same people that he claims to care about. These are the people still going to his rallies today who have complete faith in who he is. If the president had taken this virus seriously, or if he had actually made an effort to tell how serious it was, he would have slowed the virus spread. He would have saved lives. It was the opportunity and honor of a lifetime to be able to serve in the White House. I put my heart and soul into this role every single day. But at some point, I would come home at night, I would look myself in the mirror and say, are you really making a difference? Does it matter? Because no matter how hard you work and what you do, the president is going to do something that is detrimental to keeping Americans safe, which is why you signed up for this role. It was awful. It was terrifying. I have been a Republican for my entire life. I am a McCain Republican, I am a Bush Republican, and I am voting for Joe Biden because I truly believe we are at a time of constitutional crisis. At this point, it's country over party.
So that was a clip from Olivia Troye, who is a former high-level Mike Pence staffer, talking about Donald Trump and how she can't support him. She's one of these lifelong Republicans that cannot support Trump. And there's a whole bunch of interesting things in the video about how Donald Trump is incompetent. He doesn't listen to good advice given to him. But one thing that stuck with me, like it stuck with Olivia Troye, was his remark that COVID was good because it quote-unquote meant he didn't have to shake hands with those disgusting people. And as she notes, those disgusting people were his own most loyal, most fervent, most dedicated supporters. Because those are the people that show up to his rallies, that have shown up since 2015. Donald Trump is no stranger to crowds. Donald Trump is no stranger to shaking hands. He's done it his whole life, but he used to only really do it among the rich and wealthy and well-connected, whether it was Hillary and Bill Clinton, or whether it was other TV stars, or whether it was other billionaires or other real estate investors. Trump apparently had no real problem shaking hands with those people. The elites that he often criticizes as being against the needs of blue-collar Americans, but it's those regular Trump supporters, the ones that show up to his rallies, who I can be very critical of, and I can say, it's wrong to support Trump in 2020 especially, but, believe in this man and his vision for the country, and believe in his version of the Republican Party, and show up even now when it's dangerous to do so, all for a man that thinks they're disgusting. And it shows how Donald Trump basically thinks everyone who supports him is a sucker. It goes back to what he said about the military, how he thought servicemen, people in the military, were losers and suckers, especially if they fell in battle or were captured, but even those that rose to high ranks. Because if you rose to high ranks, Donald Trump started to wonder, well, you could be making way more money in the private sector. Why are you being a sucker loser general when you could have been a CEO like me, when you could have been a property owner like me? And it goes to his own supporters as well. These people that are generally, don't have as much education as a lot of Democratic supporters. They're not necessarily always low income, but they're rarely very, very high income. They're often regular middle class and working class Americans that go to Donald Trump's rallies, and he thinks they're disgusting. And it shows that he just doesn't care about anybody but himself. I don't even know if he cares about his family. He certainly doesn't care about all of his family, but I think that we can only be sure he cares about himself. And that all of these people are just pawns to him. They're there to serve his ego, and they're there to serve his political ambitions and his economic ambitions and his ambition to not, get locked up after all of this, given all the criminality he's engaged in. That's what these people are there for. He doesn't care about them. And look, every politician to some degree engages in this sort of relationship where their supporters care far more about them than the politician cares about the supporters, because the supporters all know that person more intimately than the candidate can ever know, like the thousands of people in an audience. But I know that Bernie Sanders, for instance, cared about his supporters. He might not have known them individually, but when he looked into those people's eyes, he cared about the country he was building for them. And when he shook hands with those people, he wasn't disgusted. He was honored to meet a working class American and hear their story. And that shone through with Bernie Sanders, 100%. It also goes to what Trump has said before, which is that, he's not worried about COVID because he can, spread out from the rabble around him. So you see with Donald Trump that he understands this. He's understood from the very beginning that this is dangerous. Like he's saying, I don't have to shake hands with these people because he knows it's not safe to shake hands with these people. He says, I don't have to wear a mask because I can spread out from people. And he said on the Bob Woodward tapes that this is worse than what I'm basically letting on and what my party's letting on. This is pretty devastating because it shows a man that not only is just incompetent, but fundamentally doesn't care about the people that care most about him. Don't be a sucker or a loser for Trump again. Don't vote for him.